Okay, here's our precious metals update on July 10th. It's a Sunday night. So, gold and silver are trading tonight. GDX is not. And so, I'll talk about that, especially when we look at the weekly chart. So, we'll start with the daily. We'll start with gold. It looked like we had a daily cycle low on day 33. That's right, right here where I have my cursor. This hammer candle, which you think about it in real time, I'll actually just like if you move those candles over, right? If you just look at that candle like that, that looked really bullish, right? Like, oh wow, we maybe have a low. And then of course the next candle was like we actually made a new high, but then just consolidated there. I'm like, okay, well maybe we go higher. No. Not no. No. No, 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 no. Oh no, no. Much worse. Then we consolidate a little more now. What do you imagine comes after this consolidation, right? Like, do you think it might be more of these candles? I suspect that's the case, right? So that would be day 36, July 6th. And then we have this little bear flag building here. Again, this is a daily chart. So this you'd put this at day 39. This is, let's call it Sunday night, which will end up being, counted as Monday. So I've been saying the last several videos, nothing to see here, no good risk reward, stay out of it. I continue to say that, right? Like we topped out on day 19. We're still descending. I guess it makes sense, right? We had a day 19 high, so it's going to be a left translated cycle. So you're going to have, your low on like past day 38, let's say. And this is actually day 39. So we're getting close. Again, this looks like it's a bear flag waiting to spill over. But more importantly, if we look at the weekly, we're really late in the weekly cycle, which makes it seem like we need to get that capitulation low, or I should say we will get that capitulation low really soon on the daily. Again, looks like we're building a daily bear flag, but maybe we get some kind of amazing upside move over, Sunday night into Monday morning. We'll see. But on the weekly, this little dot here is week 30. That's after this huge down candle for week 29. I mean, my God. So that's presuming that this week 22 was your weekly cycle low. Now, I guess you could say there's an argument to be made that this was not a weekly cycle low, right? And so this was not your weekly cycle high, right? On week 4, right? And that this is actually your weekly cycle low on week 29 if we can get a rally. So here we need to get a rally above 1814. I guess, yeah. I mean, that's quite a distance from here, I suppose, with this kind of bearish energy. Especially, and we'll talk about this. It looks like we have a longer term top. And again, look at this like bearish weekly candle. This was telling you so much in real time. I've talked about this many times. Like on Twitter, people said, "Oh yeah, this wick, nothing to worry about. Like this is gonna go and get knocked out." It's like this is usually a harbinger. It's a bad sign. And once we broke below that low, and we did that immediately the next week, that was a bad sign. We did consolidate for a few weeks after that, but then look what happened. Boom. Which is why this consolidation on the daily is something akin to this right here. It could also break to the upside, absolutely, but who knows? We'll see. Most importantly, if you think about our the most oft talked about sort of 8-year cycle, that would be 96 months, right? 8 times 12. This is month 79. We had our high on month 56. That was August 2020. That high that we made this year missed it by $5. So it was a double top lower high because it did not make a new high. It didn't even get to that previous high, right? It missed it literally by $5. And now we're just descending. It would seem that we are descending into the 8-year cycle low. Some people are saying it's a 7-year cycle low. Doesn't really matter, like the specifics. The point is we are descending into a longer term cycle low. The high was most likely August 2020. That, if we're doing the math, was 2 years ago, right? So many people have been sort of preaching that we were going to make new highs any day now. Rocket ship is going to take off. And now things could change. We could get a huge move out of here that just like blows people's socks off, and that would be amazing. It would be a great trade. But look at what's set up here. My God. It would seem that we're going to sweep these lows here. And then it's a question of, okay, do we then just kind of consolidate at that lower end of the range for a little bit? Or do we get so it's right. So it's a question of, do we get huge downside and then a rally, or we just kind of get not huge downside, but it just kind of meanders for a long time, which would be really painful, obviously. And if you look at the longer term chart, I'll take off the annotations and everything, right? So if you look at a 12-month chart, this is a really ugly, look at this. It's a shooter. This is a big double top. Again, that's the $5 miss, right? We are setting up for a bearish outside yearly candle. These are yearly candles. Each year here is 1 year, or excuse me, each candle here is 1 year of price action, right? So this candle is all of 2020. This candle is all of 2021. Notice it was an inside year. Did not make a new low. Got nowhere near making a new low, actually. But also didn't make a new high. Just inside. Stayed inside. After 2 pretty solid years, 2020 and 2019. But look what happened this year. We did make that a new high above 2021. That was the war-fueled thing earlier part of the year, right around when Ukraine was invaded. Oil was going crazy. Commodities were going crazy. And now we're failing down the other side. The low from last year, important to note, is 1676.91. So call it 1677, right? It seems like we have a date with destiny down there, right? It's entirely possible we get a bullish reversal that stops that fate. But right now, that looks increasingly likely, which tells you a lot about what might happen for silver and the miners. Not good. That said, at some point it will set up a great trade. Just right now is not the time. And if you're in, well, now is not the time to maybe average down. I hear a lot of talk about that on Twitter, people averaging down. I say in general, that's generally a really dangerous strategy. I'd just be really careful. Silver, very similar picture. Thought we had a cycle low. Now we're on so day 38 is a potential low, but now we're on day 42. It's late in the daily cycle. That doesn't really mean much. We had this daily cycle that went 55 days, for instance. So we could stretch for quite a bit. And if you think about the weekly chart, we just started week 24. Silver tends to have these 26 to 20, or I should say 25 to 27 week cycles, right? So you have these anomalies, right? And this I'll actually erase. That was potential weekly cycle low. Obviously did not pan out. We failed in quite a bit some. But you had this anomaly, which was actually kind of a triangle consolidation at 18 weeks. But then 26, 27, 27, you had this was your COVID low, big 40% crash, so it ended early. But then 28 weeks, 28, 29, 21, 20. So in that late 20s, right? And so we've just started week 24. So that's actually, if you think about it, that's the good news, right? That we maybe have another 3 to 4 weeks of downside. Like that, I guess that's also bad news, obviously, but that's also good news that, we're much closer to the low than we are to the top. I mean, look at that. We've swept all these lows. My God. Oh, my God. So you can imagine we're probably headed, oh, God, right? If you think about it, right? Yeah. I guess we could be headed for like the 16, 17 area. Interesting. I guess we'll see. And if we think about the monthly chart, same dip, same thing, right? Like we're just like cascading lower. Nothing pretty about that. And on the yearly chart, the same thing with the same chart that we looked at for gold, we've already made that low, right? So for gold, we made a slight higher high this year above 2021. In this case, we did not make a high above 2021. We started the year below it, and we've just been sinking ever since. And the low for last year was 2142, or call it 2143. We're obviously here below $20, so well below the low from last year. That is the definition of a downtrend, right? We are making lower lows on the highest of time frames, right? The low from last year was $21.43. We are sitting right here at $19.30, which means we've made a lower low below the low of last year. So we're making lower lows on the yearly chart. Not good. But again, at some point, it's going to set up a great opportunity. I do not think this is where you start to average down because we could go much, much lower. Doesn't mean you also short here. It just means be careful. I hear a lot of talk about averaging down. I think it's really, really dangerous. And finally, I'll go to GDX. Following a very similar trajectory to silver, and this one obviously does not trade tonight because it's an equity or trades with the equity markets. But same kind of idea, a potential swing low for day 36. But tomorrow, Monday morning, we'll open, day 39, and it looks like more downside is likely, and we are going to start week 24 the same as silver. And you can see, this is just your textbook downtrend. We had a pretty nice rally, right? This was actually a pretty nice rally out of your weekly cycle low. This was this was also your weird 18-week cycle low for silver. But we had a furious rally out of that, right? And then we had this big bearish weekly outside candle. And that's the weekly outside candles the weekly bearish outside candles in some ways are like a gift because it's a very clear signal to you. It tells you get GTFO, right? Get out, get out, get out, right? This thing made a high at 41, what was that? 41.61. And then ended the week at $37. That's a signal to you to get out, right? It got to this price and then got sold to the ribbons, right? And so we then we made our lower low, then we came up, made our lower high. Now we've made our lower low. So we could easily see a little bit of a rebound, right? Come up something like that. Then we make our lower low, another lower high, another lower low. I'd stay away from this stuff. I'd just stay away from it for now, at least.